Imagine this. Suicide in America just hit its highest rate since World War II. Almost 50,000 people last year. And it's not spread evenly. Men make up nearly 80% of those deaths, but, that's only our fathers, sons, brothers, husbands, gone. And it's not just suicide that's skyrocketing. Depression, anxiety, loneliness, all skyrocketing. Especially among the young. Especially among men. We're living in the middle of the largest mental health crisis in modern history. And somehow, instead of fixing it, both political parties are making it worse. Now, if you listen to the left, it's all the right's fault. Republicans cut funding for mental health programs. They block Medicaid expansions. They just killed $1 billion in school-based counseling programs that were created after the tragedy in Uvalde, Texas. And yeah, that's true. The right uses mental illness as a talking point every single time there's a mass shooting, then quietly slashes the very programs that could have potentially helped. They'll say the problem is the human heart, not guns. But when it comes time to fund actual solutions that could, address those issues they're talking about, they ain't about it. But here's the part that the left doesn't want to admit. They're part of the problem too. Because while they scream about protecting mental health, their culture makes people's mental health so much worse. Straight white men, the group most at risk for suicide, are constantly being told they are the villains of America. Masculinity is toxic. Their feelings don't matter. They are the bad guys. Is it any wonder why so many men are collapsing under the weight of that? But there's more. The left pushes identity politics so hard that being confused about who you are is treated like a superpower, not a struggle. We're not even allowed to discuss the overlap between gender dysphoria and mental health without being called hateful. Meanwhile, suicide attempts among trans youth are horrifyingly high. Nearly half report seriously considering it. Now, is that because some people out there don't believe you can actually become the opposite sex? Or is that because of some other deep-rooted issue? Does gender confusion stem from depression? Are people more likely to transition if they're already struggling with mental health issues? In the US, about 65% of people that transition go from a man to a woman. Is that because men are demonized and women are praised in this country? I don't know, but how do you ignore that? Pretending every single identity struggle is a badge of honor doesn't help people heal. It just leaves them lost and in the dark. It's like putting a good job sticker on everyone's shirt that's struggling mentally and just calling it a day. That's really all the left does. So here's where we are. The right blames mental illness but won't fund mental health services. They'll say we have a mental health crisis and then cut funding the second they sniff a DEI hire that might be a counselor. How about you try to make mental health services better without just throwing the whole thing in the trash? The left screams about underfunding but then simultaneously stirs fear, outrage, and identity confusion that makes people miserable. They'll fight to hire mental health counselors that share an ideology that could potentially be making people a lot worse, and then call everyone that has questions about that a toxic Nazi, and then, condemn the right for cutting funding. Both parties thrive on us being broken. Think about it. Outrage is profitable. It's hella profitable. Rage keeps their lights on. Having a scapegoat keeps politicians from actually having to do anything. If we actually healed, they'd lose one of their favorite weapons. They'd lose another tool at their disposal to keep us angry at each other and not pointing our fingers at them. And I'm not talking about all this just in theory. I've lost friends to this, way too many of them. Good people who got swallowed up by depression until the only way they saw out was just disappearing. And you know what's sick about this? They were told over and over that as men, especially white men, that they were the problem, that their pain didn't matter, that they were privileged, that they were oppressors, that they were making everyone else's life worse. And eventually, they believed the lie. And now I have to sit here and hear the left complain about the right cutting funding for mental health services after they've convinced millions of people that they're worthless because of their gender or their skin color. So yeah, America will never fix its mental health problem. Not because we don't know the steps that we need to take. We know what we need to do. Fund treatment like infrastructure, stop trying to treat delusion as reality. Treat pills as a last resort instead of the entire solution. We need to build community. We need to give men space to be men. We need to stop glorifying killers. Stop dividing people and making them sad and angry for your own gain. None of that is rocket science, but we won't do it because the right needs mental illness as a scapegoat and the left needs it as a political cudgel. Both sides feed off the crisis. Both sides manipulate the crisis to fit their own narrative. And as long as they can use our brokenness as ammo, there's really no incentive to heal us, is there? And that's why Fletcher and Harper's deaths in Minneapolis will fade from the news cycle. That's why suicide numbers will keep on climbing. That's why depression will keep on climbing. That's why every single one of us will know someone, or already does know someone, who has fallen victim to this. Because the crisis is the product. What we consume every single day from the media, from politicians, from the people around us that consume too much of it, the end result is a mental health crisis. What else can you expect? And until we can see that, until we can all see that, and we start bringing attention to the fact that the right and the left's refusal to work together or even have a productive conversation about this is the reason we're in this hole and aren't making any progress at all to get out of it. Nothing will change. I'll have more friends that'll pass. You'll have more friends that'll pass. And these legislators will just continue to spew their useless talking points while their respective media members parrot them. We do have a serious mental health crisis on our hands, and it needs to be addressed by real people that want to see us move in a positive direction. Real people that aren't just interested in seeing their party win. Real people that aren't just interested in proving someone wrong or dunking on another person. It needs to be addressed by people that want to see us all happier. Men, women, black people, white people, straight people, gay people, gender confused people, poor people, successful people. I don't care who you are. We need people that fight for all of us to start making their voices heard. That is the only way that we will actually be able to address this crisis and fix this crisis.